I always feel like there's not enough representation. There's not enough people who look like me, who love like me, who share my experience growing up Black and queer. I really wanted this to be a really magical Black queer love letter to the genre.
Family, it's your favorite queer radio personality, Anna DeShawn, here with another exclusive interview. And this time is with my homie, Chris Murphy, who is an author that you should know. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you. So good to be here. Thanks for having me. And I'm a big fan of everything that you're doing. Please keep up the great work that you're doing.
Oh, thanks, Chris. And family, I can't wait to tell y'all how we met. Okay. But before I do that, I got Chris's bio. Okay. So Chris is an activist, an artist, and an author. He is a shameless thrill seeker, which will make complete sense when you hear about the books he writes. Okay. A lover of roller coasters and truly all things that go fast.
Yes.
Okay. Chris is that guy, just one of the sweetest people I met at the Black Queer Creative Summit. And that was a good time in LA.
That was an amazing time. It was magical. And I miss it a lot.
The community, we watched Rustin in a theater together, and there was
One of the
no better
highlights.
place to watch that movie than in a theater full of Black queer people.
Yes, yeah. I definitely miss being in that space. And I'm so glad that we finally got to connect at that event and we've stayed in touch. So I appreciate that about you.
I know. I'm so glad we did. I feel like the universe works in our favor when we align with people. It's not on
Yeah,
accident.
exactly. There are no accidents. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. And today we're going to talk about your books, right? You've got 3 out and available right now. You're working on one.
Always
And
have an iron in the fire. Always.
always, right?
Yeah.
And today we're going to talk about your book, The Other Side of the Mirror.
Yes.
Come on, you better have it on the ready.
That's right.
Now tell us about this book.
Okay, so this book, I feel as a Black queer writer, this is the book where I really feel like I found my lane. It is a thriller. I love thrillers, and I always feel like there's not enough representation. There's not enough people who look like me, who love like me, who share my experience growing up Black and queer. I really wanted this to be a really magical Black queer love letter to the genre. This book is about Jace. He is the main character. He's Black, he's queer, he's just trying to have a good, normal life. But the thing is, he's living in Portland under an alias. He's running from his past. He has a secret. And without giving too much away, I'll say that secret is that he is the son of one of the nation's most infamous Black serial killers. So the book dives into that element. There's lots of themes, absentee fathers, generational trauma, the things that we inherit from our parents, however good or sinister. Again, without giving too much away. But it's a great thriller. There's romance. There's lots of twists. Jace is, again, just trying to live a normal life, live a good life. And there's a murder that happens that echoes his father's past and that whole dark legacy. So it's very much a whodunit. But it's also, again, it really plays up those themes that are a big part of the Black queer experience that we don't often see portrayed in film and TV and literature. So it's a fun read. Yeah, and it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble online, select bookstores nationwide. But Amazon's probably the quickest way to get it.
And what I really appreciate about your work is that you are centering Black queer experiences. And that is not often seen. And I think when I was growing up, it had to be Lynn Harris was probably
Yes.
the one author that I knew of that was telling
Like
Black queer stories.
Yeah, he was like the godfather of that Black queer literature, really. And definitely a mentor of mine. I was lucky enough to meet him once. And he gave me some great advice that I ran with. And he said, just write. Don't worry about if it's someone doesn't connect with it or thinks it's weird or strange. Like, just tell your story. And so that's what I try to do every time I open my laptop and writing for the day. Yeah. And I would share that advice with anyone who's looking forward to trying to write a book or put out your story. Just tell your story. Don't worry about what people may think about it, because that story needs to be told. Someone's going to connect with that story.
Write what you know.
Exactly.
Sage advice. Okay. And this book is not the end, right? You're going to have, is there a sequel and then
There is a sequel, yes. Once again, the first of the series is The Other Side of the Mirror, and the sequel is The Dark Side of the Mirror. And so, again, I don't want to give too much away, but we do see Jay's kind of continuing on his journey. There's romance, in the series. We see his village, queer, trans, diverse characters that you often don't see in literature. So it's a great series and a fun read that'll definitely keep you guessing. Lots of twists and turns, because that's what I personally like. I love when I'm picking up a book and I don't know what's going to happen next. So if you like a good mystery or thriller, this series is definitely for you.
Because you love thrilling things in your real life. So
Exactly.
tell me, how has being a thrill seeker manifested itself in your life? Or have you bungee jumped? What are we doing,
Ah,
thrill seeker?
so that's on the list for sure. And I live in Vegas, and in Vegas we have the Strat, which has the restaurant on top. You probably saw it when you were here last, around the world, top of the world, but you can actually jump off of that building. So that is on the list for sure. I love motorcycles. I have friends in Mexico who have bikes. So always, whenever I go, I'm riding the streets of Mexico with them. Just anything that's fast. I love it. Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'm with you. Okay. I've
You only
done
live
the
once. And if you do it well, you only have to do it once.
it's funny because I've done it twice. Pulled a bungee cord a couple times in my life. Oh, I love zip lining.
Oh, yes. Yes. Love that.
I love thrill seeking. It is.
Yeah. I've parasailed. Yeah. I strangely love heights. I don't know how or why, but I'm glad it's one thing that I'm not afraid of. Yeah.
So, Chris, tell us about yourself. Why did you start writing?
I've always, I think, just had it in me. And I was lucky enough to have a teacher in middle school, English teacher, Miss Goodrich, remember her name, who really just nurtured that part of me. We had an assignment to write a short story. And it's the first time I remember really writing anything. And, everyone wrote their story, but I wrote my story and then I illustrated it. I drew illustrations for it. And then I took an old album, like photo album, and like I took out the pages and I binded it. So it was like a hardcover like book. I just took it and ran with it. And from there, it was just off to the races. Poetry, short stories, and then ultimately writing novels.
That's so interesting. As children, I feel like we're always telling the world exactly what we want to be doing or
Yes.
exactly what we're supposed to be doing. So the fact that you were piecing together the makings of a
Yeah.
book yourself, even as a child, I think the writing, no pun intended, writing was on the wall. Exactly what your passions were out here in the world.
For me, I think it's really about, I grew up reading my mom's V.C. Andrews books, which I was really too young to probably be reading at the time, like Flowers in the Attic, that kind of thing. And that really sparked my love of reading and literature and books. But throughout that, I never really came across, again, people who looked like me or had my experience or were queer. And
Yeah.
so I just want to tell those stories and have that out there to leave something really in the world that other people can find, stumble upon, pass on to a friend. I think we talked about Lynn Harris earlier, and that book, Invisible Life, was that book that got passed on like a Bible almost. Like someone gave me my copy and I passed that on. So I hope the dream would be for that to be something that could happen with one of my books, for someone who needs to see that there's other people like you who have your same experiences, who may be going through things that you're going through, like just to have that connection. Because when we see ourselves in literature, in film, and whatever, on podcasts, TV shows, whatever it is, that there's something really magical that happens that shows someone you can do it too. And we're out here, we are connected. That's why I do it.
We are. Yeah. And I think it's so important for our stories to show up in every art form. So my
Yes.
art form is podcasting and yours is writing, and
Yeah.
both, right, hold so much power in keeping our stories safe.
Yes.
And I think it's so important. And I think that's why right-wing Republicans have been committed to banning as many as they can. I mean,
Yes.
this banned book movement has run rampant over
It
the
has.
last few years when it comes to Black books, queer books, let alone be at the intersections of any of these.
Mhm.
What do you make of all of this?
I think people are often afraid of what they don't understand. I think that's like a big part of it. But I think it's important to just keep telling our stories, keep putting ourselves out there, keep taking up space. Keep taking up space. That's the message. Stories, we can't be silenced. We need to tell our stories. We need to share our experiences because we don't want to be erased from history. You cannot erase us from history. We are history. We make the culture. We are the storytellers. We're the writers. We're the hosts. We're the artists. And it's just so important just to keep doing what we do, especially when it comes to the arts, being creative, because I think people need the arts, especially now more than ever with everything that's happening politically and within the country.
Art, let me tell you, as far as this podcast is concerned, culture and entertainment will always be part of it. Entertainment is that which will save us. And it
Yes.
will always be 20, 30 years ahead of any political legislation that could ever come down that could be seen as liberating for a group. And so it is art. Absolutely. It is art. It
Yeah.
is culture. It is entertainment that will tell our stories and that just need to be held close and
Yeah,
kept
and
safe.
that's why I am always just so impressed by you. And I always am a huge fan and supporter because you're doing it every day, helping to tell our stories and helping to highlight things happening in our own community. And that's just so important. So, again, thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you, my friend. So tell me about queer life in Vegas. Is there queer life in
Oh,
Vegas?
there is. We have what we call the Fruit Loop. It is a loop, basically, or area of gay bars, clubs, lounges. We've had some things come and go, but there's a great queer community here. There's a great Pride Festival and a great parade that happens at night. Fun fact, because it's Vegas, right? We're not marching and taking to the streets in the heat of the day. So that's a cool thing to have a night gay pride parade.
You?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cute. There's some great spots here and great. Vegas is small. Like the community here is small, but it's definitely mighty. And there's some great folks here.
Dope. I didn't go to the Fruit Loop, so now I got to come back to Vegas and see
You
what
got
the
to come
Fruit Loop
back.
is all about.
Exactly.
We're
Yes.
gonna do that at some point and hang out with Chris. But then also, I'm really big into affirmations
Mhm.
because being a creative is not easy. And so you write a book. I can't imagine the anxiety. I know how I feel when I release an episode. Is anybody gonna listen? How am I hoping to sustain myself? Okay. So do you have affirmations that you live by?
I try just to live every day, make it a day that I can be proud of, make it a day that God would be proud of. I do have a daily prayer based affirmation book that I read to ground myself for the day, get my day started. I'm a big list person. So, like, I write down like the things I want to accomplish for the day. So, really, for me, it's just about making it a day that is just full of forward moving accomplishments, treating people right, trying to work in some self care. I think that's the thing as creatives. I'm sure you can relate to this. It's sometimes
Yeah.
challenging to work in self care for ourselves, but just really trying to be the best person I can be every day. That's it.
That's it. That's all. Life can really
Yeah.
be just that simple, can't it?
Yeah.
So, Chris, you already know we do this on E3 Radio where we play queer artists all day long. So, I'm wondering,
Yes.
what are you listening to right now? What's in the playlist?
So, top of the playlist is actually from someone from the Black Queer Creative Summit. He just came out with a new single called Kings, and it was released on MLK Day for Black History Month. It was MLK Day. It was perfect timing, and the message of it is just fantastic. It's Javel and Yanni Blue,
Oh,
I believe it
yes.
is their actual stage name, producer name. So it's what you would find it under on Spotify, I want to
I
say. But
love
the
that.
single is called
Yanni.
Kings. Yes.
It's called Kings. All right, family. You got a new song to go check out. Okay. Yanni is good people. So,
Yes.
definitely got to check that out. That's what's up.
So again, thank you for the work that you do. And thank you again for having me today.
Of course, Chris. Of course. Thank you, my friend. Yo, family, the Black Queer Creative Summit brought us together, okay?
Yes.
And we have stuck together. And I want y'all to know about Chris's books. I want you to tell a friend to go buy the books and support because
Please do.
truly we are all we got. So, Chris, tell them again where they can find you, follow you, and get your books.
Yeah, so you can find me my socials at Christopher Murphy Books. My website is christophermurphybooks.com. My books are available on Amazon online, on Barnes and Noble online, and select bookstores throughout the country.
That's it, family. Go do it. Okay, go do a thing. You already know a link is in the show notes. And we are Queer News Done Right.